So there has been countless of videos coming out from Indiana Fever content creators kind of calling out Stephanie White. Pretty much saying she in a hot seat, pretty much saying all of these things. The Indiana Fever admins, and they was probably instructed by the Indiana Fever front office to do this, but we're going to talk about this. So they released a series of posts.
Did you catch what just went down? Or did the Indiana Fever just quietly spark a full-blown controversy right in front of everyone? Because on the surface, yeah, it looks like just another routine social media rollout. But the timing, the messaging, and especially what they didn't say. That's where things start getting real interesting. This isn't just a post, it's a signal. A signal that something deeper is brewing between the front office and a fan base that's been watching every move under a microscope. And just hours ago, they dropped a series of posts celebrating head coach Stephanie White for Women's History Month. But trust me, the real story isn't in what they showed, it's in what they didn't. You need to see this next clip.
One. It goes on to say, get to know head coach Stephanie White in celebration of Women's History Month. Head coach Stephanie White. And there she go right there. Then it goes on to list her career highlights, which is nothing. Stephanie White was an average player. Like, she had some accolades here and there. You know what I'm saying? You know, like the 95 Gatorade Player of the Year award. That was a big one. USA.
That was clean, right? Almost too clean. Because what you just saw wasn't some casual shout-out, it was a full-blown PR blitz from the Indiana Fever. We're talking polished career highlights, deep dives into coaching philosophy, professionally staged photos with star players, the whole corporate playbook executed to perfection. On paper, it screams respect, appreciation, celebration, all the right boxes checked. But here's the thing, this wasn't dropped at a random moment. The timing. Yeah, that's where it gets a little suspicious. Because when you line it up with everything else going on behind the scenes, it starts to feel less like a tribute and more like a statement. And trust me, what comes next is where this situation really takes a turn. Watch this.
Was a picture that they posted with Aaliyah Boston and Stephanie White, pretty much signaling and indicating to us that this is their gal, pouring into people, inspiring, providing opportunities, and helping instill confidence and belief in themselves. That's a very gratifying part of what I get to do every day. Then there's this career highlights as a coach right here. Ball State assistant 03 to 04, Kansas State assistant 04 to 05, Toledo assistant 05 to 07, Chicago Sky is
that right there. Yeah, that's exactly where the pressure started boiling over. Because Stephanie White hasn't just been catching light criticism. She's been under serious fire from Indiana Fever fans for weeks now. We're talking analysts, creators, even hardcore supporters dropping video after video, breaking down every rotation, every late game call, every decision under a microscope. And at the center of all that heat, none other than their generational superstar, Caitlin Clark. Fans are questioning whether she's being used the right way, whether the system even fits her game, and that tension. It's been building fast. So when you connect that to the timing of this PR push, it starts to feel a whole lot less like coincidence. And what happens next? Yeah, this is where things really start to escalate. Check this out.
24 Indiana Fever head coach, 25 to present, 2012 WNBA champion, 2023 WNBA coach of the year, 2023 WNBA All-Star Game coach, 2025 WNBA Commissioner Cup champion. What they left out of here that many people is not talking about is her stint at Vanderbilt. See, it's the Vanderbilt stint that really have fans up in arms, because that stint there is pretty.
That's a bold move, no doubt. But here's where it flips from confident to straight up savage. Because instead of going quiet and letting the noise fade, the Indiana Fever doubled down hard. Their social media team didn't just respond, they went on the offensive, planting their flag like, nah, we said what we said. And the message? Crystal clear. Stephanie White is their coach. She's not going anywhere. End of discussion. But here's the problem with that kind of power play. The fans? Oh, they're not buying it. Not even close. If anything, that move just poured gasoline on the fire. And the backlash? Yeah, it started getting loud. Real loud. You've got to see how people reacted to this. Check this out.
Former WNBA coach and Purdue legend was hired as Vanderbilt women's head coach back in 2016. Now, if they got all of this on here, why we ain't talking about 2016? Now, at Vanderbilt, she went 46 of 83. She was 13 of 54 against SEC teams. No NCAA tournament appearance. The program struggled heavily in the SEC during her tenure. She took over a rebuilding program in 2016, multiple losing seasons, some as low as 7 damn wins. Could you imagine being a coach?
Yeah, and that reaction. It didn't just simmer, it exploded. Fans came through heavy, flooding the comments with receipts, breakdowns, and straight up calling out everything they've been seeing on the court from the Indiana Fever. This wasn't random noise either, this was detailed, calculated pushback. And here's where it gets really interesting. Because what the Fever chose to leave out of that polished celebration for Stephanie White, that might be even louder than what they actually posted. We're talking a full-on masterclass in silence. What isn't being said, what's being avoided, what's being strategically ignored. And once you notice it, you can't unsee it. That's when this whole situation starts to feel less like PR, and more like damage control. But wait till you catch this next part, because this is where the narrative really shifts.
Haitian, right? Coached the Connecticut Sun, got that Coach of the Year you guys see here back in 2023, and now she's the head coach of women's of the Indiana Fever. So Stephanie White failed at Vanderbilt, but became an elite coach in the WNBA. That's the ultimate truth to what happened to her at Vanderbilt. Now let's move on to another slide. I just wanted to throw that in there because they just completely left Vanderbilt out of there, bro. You do know she won a season, only won 7 damn games. Then went on to say, I've had the incredible fortune of being mentored by the greatest coaches and leaders in our game. Being able to pay it forward and pass on those lessons to assistant coaches, players, and young leaders in our sport truly fills my cup.
Alright, now this is where it gets real telling. Did you catch that? Look closely at what they're choosing to spotlight here. The Indiana Fever go all the way back, pulling out Stephanie White's resume from her playing days. 1995 Gatorade Player of the Year, USA Today Player of the Year, even that national championship run with Purdue University back in 1999. Now don't get it twisted, that's elite history, no question. But it's also a very specific, carefully curated list of past glory. Notice the pattern. They're leaning heavy on who she was as a player, not necessarily what's happening right now as a coach in this moment. And when a franchise starts reaching that far back for validation, yeah, that usually means something else is being left off the table. So the real question becomes, what aren't they highlighting? Because that next piece, that's where this whole narrative starts to hit different. Watch this.
And let's read some of these comments. Now, I have not read any of these comments at all, but I can get them pulled up. And I'm very interested to see what the fans have to say. One fan said, why she sucks at Vanderbilt and can't develop players. She's a defensive coach, but offensive coach is also needed for Caitlin Clark to run. Whoa. She once said the Mavericks moved the ball better without Luka. So no thank you. She better let CC play her style this year and quit playing her off the ball. Please post Fever schedule again. Thank you. Somebody said, I don't care for her style, slow down, play running, garbage game. Keeping CC off the ball. What a waste of talent. My favorite let's effing go.
That last part. Yeah, that's where everything starts to hit different. Because once you zoom out and connect all the dots, this isn't just about a post anymore. It's about a full-blown identity crisis for the Indiana Fever. Let's keep it real. Nobody's saying Stephanie White didn't earn her stripes. Those accolades from the late 90s are legit. But fans are looking at the timeline like, hold up, that was nearly 3 decades ago. And in today's WNBA, this game has evolved into something way faster, way more explosive. You've got players like Caitlin Clark rewriting the rules in real time, 3,951 college points, elite playmaking, bending defenses like it's nothing, and stars like Angel Reese dominating the glass in ways we've never seen before. This isn't the same game Stephanie White played. Not even close. And then you look at that PR post again, featuring Aaliyah Boston front and center, pushing that culture, mentorship, development narrative, but no Caitlin Clark in sight? That's not random. That's calculated. Because if you're trying to shut down criticism about misusing your generational superstar, wouldn't you show that connection? Instead, they pivot, and fans caught that instantly. Now stack that with the resume. On paper, solid. Championship pedigree, Coach of the Year run with the Connecticut Sun, recent success, no doubt. But that 5-year gap at Vanderbilt University, that's the elephant in the room. 46 to 83 overall. 13 to 54 in sec play. No NCAA tournament appearances. That's not a rough patch, that's a red flag for a rebuilding situation. And guess what Indiana is right now? A rebuild centered around a once-in-a-generation talent. Here's the disconnect that's driving fans crazy. In Connecticut, White was managing a veteran squad, DeWanna Borner, Alyssa Thomas, Breonna Jones, a machine already built to win. In Indiana, it's young, it's raw, and it revolves around Clark's pace, vision, and chaos. But instead of unleashing that, fans are watching her get pulled off ball, the tempo slowed down, the system forcing her to adapt instead of the other way around. And that's why the backlash isn't just noise, it's detailed, it's informed, and it's loud. People aren't just complaining, they're breaking down film, calling out schemes, and asking legit basketball questions. Because when you've got a player like Caitlin Clark, you don't fit her into a system, you build the entire system around her. Just like the Las Vegas Aces do with A'ja Wilson, or the New York Liberty do with Breanna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu. So now we're here. The Fever have made their stance loud and clear, they're riding with Stephanie White. No backing down. But the fans? They're just as locked in on the opposite side. And when those two forces start pulling in different directions, something's got to give. Because at the end of the day, this isn't about PR. This isn't about narratives. This is about one simple question. Are the Indiana Fever maximizing the most electrifying player in basketball right now? Or are they wasting her prime before it even begins? And trust me, the next season, it's going to answer everything. If you're rocking with real, unfiltered WNBA breakdowns like this, hit that subscribe button right now. Because when this story explodes next, you already know where the real conversation is happening.